All right, we are live. Hi. Hello, everyone. Avery Young here, and welcome back to the Storyteller's Corner, episode 9. And I'm really excited for the story that I'm about to read to you. Now, I've talked about fairy tales on this channel a lot, and I've read quite a few fairy tales on here. And I remember saying that with this series, I wanted to read not only fairy tales, but legends, folklores, and myths, and such of the like. And so this story is a little different. Rather than being a fairy tale, this is a story from the Jungle Book. Now, when I say the Jungle Book, what comes to mind? Perhaps the animated film by Walt Disney comes to mind, with Mowgli and Baloo the Gray Bear singing the bare necessities. While Disney's adaptation of the story was certainly unique and very wholesome, it definitely added a charming twist to the tale, making it something of its own. Or perhaps your mind thinks of the live-action Jungle Book, also made by Disney, which I will give them a single point in that they tried to maintain the thematic elements of the original story. They didn't succeed, but at least they tried, so E for effort, here's a tic-tac. Now, out of the Jungle Book film adaptations, the one that is very near and dear to my heart is the animated adaptation of Mowgli's Brothers by Chuck Jones, the same gentleman who gave us Looney Tunes and Tom and Jerry, to an extent. He made an adaptation of Mowgli's story, at least part of it, in a way that I think is haunting and poignant and sticks true to the original element of the story while adding his own twist to it. Now, some of you may be scratching your heads when I say thematic elements of the original story. Well, that's the thing. The Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling is very passionate in a sense. This story will bring you out of your element, out of the comforts of civilizations, and it has messed up origins in it still, and messed up elements, but it's in a more intimidating, primal way that kind of gives you an eerie feeling that you're being watched, or that you're out of your element. And it's a very good story, and that's another thing. The Jungle Book. You would think this would be filled with nothing but the story of Mowgli's life with the Seoni wolf pack. This isn't true. Truthfully, the Jungle Book is a collection of 6 short stories, with only 3 of those 6 short stories connecting with one another. The 3 short stories that connect with one another are the trilogy that make up Mowgli's life. They are titled Mowgli's Brothers, Kaa's Hunting, and Tiger Tiger. Once we get some people in, I'll start reading the story. But while reading the entire trilogy of Mowgli's adventures from beginning to end would be amazing, needless to say, we would be here a while because these are short stories. And this is the copy that I have, that I've had ever since I was a kid, illustrated by Eric Kincaid. Don't know if you can see that. So, as I'm reading to you, I will intermittently show you the illustrations. So feel free to talk and ask questions, and I'll answer them as best as I can. But today I'm going to be reading to you a part of the Jungle Book, specifically the beginning, Mowgli's Brothers. And as I said before, while reading the entire trilogy of Mowgli's life, Mowgli's Brothers, Kaa's Hunting, and Tiger Tiger would be amazing. We would be here a while if I did read those stories nonstop in a massive, epic live stream reading. And so for the sake of my sanity, I'm going to be dividing up the reading of Mowgli's trilogy, with this episode being dedicated to Mowgli's Brothers, the beginning, and then episodes 10 and 11 of the Storyteller's Corner being dedicated to Kaa's Hunting and Tiger Tiger. Okay? Okay, we've had people come and go, but don't be shy. Feel free to ask me questions and talk amongst yourselves about the story. And once I get at least a few people in here, I'll start reading. But the illustrations in here are absolutely lovely. Like, this is what the first page looks like. Well, not the first page, but the first cover, I guess. And then it looks the same on the back, which I think is, I don't know, it makes me happy. It makes me happy and I enjoy it. And these illustrations are marvelous. Not only that, but some of these stories actually have bits of songs and poems attached to them before the beginning of the story. Now, I know some of you are probably asking, it's like, wait a minute, Avery. You said that the Jungle Book was composed of 6 stories, with only 3 of those stories being connected. You've told us 3 of those stories. Well, what are the other stories in the Jungle Book? Well, I'm glad you asked. So you have the trilogy, Mowgli's Brothers, Cause Hunting, and Tiger Tiger. But then you also have the White Seal, Rikki Tikki Tavi, and Tumai of the Elephants. Now, the White Seal and Rikki Tikki Tavi also were given their own animated adaptations by Chuck Jones. I have seen all 3 of the Chuck Jones adaptations. I have seen Mowgli's Brothers, the White Seal, and Rikki Tikki Tavi, and they are very near and dear to my heart. I actually got a DVD collection with those shorts on them. So perhaps later on down the line, I will read the other stories of the Jungle Book, but for now, episode 9 will be for Mowgli's Brothers, episode 10 will be for Cause Hunting, and episode 11 will be for Tiger Tiger, which is the final part of Mowgli's story. And I do look forward to showing you all these illustrations there, because they are beautifully well done. They are very beautifully well done, and I highly recommend that you see the shorts. In the link in the description down below of this video, I've provided a link to where you can watch Mowgli's Brothers. It is a very old copy, so it's going to be a little grainy, but that was the best I could do with finding a free source on a safe website. So that's the way it is. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. Feel free to come and ask me whatever questions you have. And once this song ends, tough crowd today, but feel free to ask questions. Whoever comes, you're welcome to come and stay and hear the story. And trust me, this story is definitely thematic in various ways. And that's not just coming from someone who's seen the Chuck Jones animation, which is thematic in its own way. And what I like about it is that it sticks so close to the original story while adding its own flair to it. And because I'm going to be doing a lot of and because this is going to be an epic reading almost, I apologize in advance if I get very thematic and dramatic. I'm going to be doing a lot of shouting, so I got a jug of water and I got a glass of water because, yeah. I will say this about the Disney Shere Khan of the animated film. At least he's sensibly soft-spoken. And he sounds very refined. The Shere Khan in the original is not sensible or subtle, and let's just say I'm going to be doing a lot of shouting, and it's going to be a miracle if I don't tear up my throat, which is inevitable. But I enjoy doing this series, and I enjoy making you guys happy and reading you stories. So, yeah, I'm willing to rip my throat up, tear it up profusely to give this story the epic reading that it deserves. Hey, Laughing Reaper, welcome. You're the only one here. I've had people come and go, and then they just leave. But welcome. I'm going to be reading a story from the Jungle Book. I'm going to be reading the trilogy of Mowgli. This is the first part of it, which is titled, appropriately, Mowgli's Brothers. And then for episode 10 and episode 11 of the Storyteller's Corner, I'll be reading the remaining two parts of the story, which are Cause Hunting and Tiger Tiger. So, we got one person here. He had brothers? Yeah, he was adopted by the wolf pack. Let me show you. You're the only one here, so this headcanon? It's the original story by Rudyard Kipling. That is the headcanon. So, just listen and I will show you. And then there's a little bit of a song. Quiet down, I'm doing a live stream. Mowgli's brothers. Now chill the kite brings home the night that Mang the bat sets free. The herds are shut in byre and hut, for loosed till dawn are we. This is the hour of pride and power, talon and tush and claw. Oh, hear all, good hunting all, that keep the jungle law. Night Song in the Jungle. Sounds like fanfic. It is not fanfic, Reaper. This is the actual story by Rudyard Kipling. Without Rudyard Kipling's story, we wouldn't have Disney's Jungle Book. I apologize for the background noise. It's my brother's. It was 7 o'clock on a very warm evening in the Seoni Hills when Father Wolf woke up from his day's rest. Scratching himself, yawned and spread out his paws one after the other to get rid of the sleepy feeling in their tips. We can't hear, no worries. Oh, good. I'm still, though, I can hear them and I fear that they might bleed in. Mother Wolf lay with her big gray nose dropped across her 4 tumbling, squealing pups. And the moon shone into the mouth of the cave where they all lived. Said Father Wolf. It is time to hunt again. He was about to spring out of the cave and down the hill when a little shadow with a bushy tail came up to the entrance and whined, Good luck go with you, O chief of the wolves, and good luck and strong teeth go with your noble children, that they may never forget the hungry in this world. It was the jackal, Tabaki, the dish licker, and the wolves of India despise Tabaki because he runs about causing mischief and telling tales and eating rags and pieces of leather from the village rubbish heaps. But they are afraid of him too, because Tabaki, more than anyone else in the jungle, is apt to go mad, and then he forgets he was ever afraid of everyone. And then he forgets that he was ever afraid of anyone, and runs through the forest, biting everything in his way. Even the tiger runs and hides when little Tabaki goes mad, for the madness is the most disgraceful thing that can overtake a wild creature. We call it hydrophobia, or rabies, but the animals call it Dewani, the madness, and run. And feel free to make comments as I read. I am bracing myself for the inevitable. Enter then, and look, said Father Wolf stiffly, but there's no food here. For a wolf, no, said Tabaki, but for so mean a person as myself, a dry bone is a good feast. Who are we, the Giderlog, the jackal people, to pick and choose? He scuttled to the back of the cave, where he found the bone of a buck with some meat on it, and sat cracking the end merrily. Many thanks for this good meal, he said, licking his lips. How beautiful are your noble children! How large their eyes! And so young, too. Indeed, indeed, I might have remembered that the children of kings are men from the beginning. Now Tabaki knew as well as anyone else that there was nothing as unlucky as complimenting children to their faces. He was pleased to see Mother and Father Wolf look uncomfortable. Tabaki sat there, enjoying the mischief he had made. Then he said spitefully, Shere Khan, the big one, has moved his hunting grounds. He has told me that he will hunt among these hills for the next month or so. Shere Khan was the great tiger who lived near the Wangunga River, 20 miles away. Do we know where in India the story is supposed to be set in? I'm not sure, but it does say that the wolves are of the Seoni. It says the Seoni Hills. So wherever the Seoni Hills are in India, that's where the story is set. I am bracing myself for the inevitable, because I'm going to have to shout soon. He has no right, Father Wolf began angrily, By the law of the jungle, he has no right to change his quarters without due warning. He will frighten every head of game within 10 miles and die. I have to kill for 2 these days. Inevitable? You'll see. You'll see. There's a reason why I have a glass of water and a jug of water at my side for this reading. There's a reason for it. Just trust me. Here, let me type it out for you. Here is how... These are how the hills are spelled. That is how the hills are spelled. The Seoni Hills. And because they live there, they are called the Seoni Wolf Pack. So, okay, so I'll reread Father Wolf's remark. He has no right, Father Wolf began angrily. By the law of the jungle, he has no right to change his quarters without due warning. He will frighten every head of game within 10 miles, and I have to kill for 2 these days. His mother don't call him Lungri, the lame one, for nothing, said Mother Wolf quietly. He has been lame in 1 foot from his birth. That is why he has only killed cattle. Now the villagers of the Wangunga are angry with him, and he has come here to make our villagers angry. They will scour the jungle for him when he is far away, and we and our children must run when the grass is set alight. Indeed, we are very grateful to Shere Khan. Shall I tell him of your gratitude? Asked Tabaki. Out! Snapped Father Wolf. Leave here and go hunt with your master. You've done enough harm for 1 night. I'll go, said Tabaki quietly. But you can hear Shere Khan below in the thickets. I might have saved myself the message. Father Wolf listened, and below in the valley that ran down to the little river, he could hear the dry, angry, snarly, sing-song whine of a tiger who has caught nothing and does not care if all the jungle knows it. The fool, said Father Wolf, to begin a night's work with that noise. Does he think that our buck are like his fat Wangunga bullocks? Hush! It is neither bullock nor buck that he hunts tonight, said Mother Wolf. It is man. The whine that changed to a sort of humming purr that seemed to come from every quarter of the compass. It was a noise that bewilders woodcutters and gypsies sleeping in the open, and makes them run sometimes into the very mouth of the tiger. Man, said Father Wolf, showing all his white teeth. Faugh! Are there not enough beetles and frogs in the tanks that he must eat man? And on our ground, too! The law of the jungle, which never orders anything without reason, forbids every beast to eat man, except when he is killing to show his children how to kill, and then he must hunt outside the hunting grounds of his pack or tribe. The reason for this is that man-killing means, sooner or later, the arrival of men on elephants with guns, and hundreds of men with gongs and rockets and torches. Then everybody in the jungle suffers. The reasons the beasts give among themselves is that man is the weakest and most defenseless of all living things, and it is unsportsmanlike to touch him. They say too, and it is true, that man-eaters become mangy and lose their teeth. The Seoni Hills are within the Seoni region, which is the southern part of Madhya Pradesh province. It is very central India. Turns out that some folks believe they found the site that the author used as inspiration for the jungle. Nice! Well, there you go, folks. Laughing Reaper was able to find out where this story is set. All I knew from it was that it was in India and wherever the Seoni Hills were. Alrighty. So that man-eaters become mangy and lose their teeth. The purr grew louder and ended in the full-throated "Har!" of the tiger's charge. Then there was a howl, an untigerish howl from Shere Khan. He is missed, said Mother Wolf. What is he after? Father Wolf ran out a few paces and heard Shere Khan muttering and mumbling savagely as he tumbled about in the scrub. The fool has had no more sense than to jump at a woodcutter's campfire, and he has burned his feet, said Father Wolf, with a grunt. Tabaki is with him. Something is coming up the hill, said Mother Wolf, twitching one ear. Get ready." The bushes rustled a little in the thicket, and Father Wolf dropped with his haunches under him, ready for his leap. Then, if you had been watching, you would have seen the most wonderful thing in the world. The wolf, checked in mid-spring, made his bound before he saw what it was he was jumping at, and then he tried to stop himself. The result was that he shot up straight into the air about 4 or 5 feet, landing almost where he left the ground. Man! A man's cub, look! Directly in front of him, holding on by a low branch, stood a naked brown baby who could just walk. As soft and as dimpled a little Adam as ever came to a wolf's den at night. Hi, Avery. I know it's been a while. Hey, Wolfer! Welcome. I've missed you. I hope you're doing well. I'm reading Mowgli's Brothers, part 1 of Mowgli's Story from the Jungle Book by Rudyard Kipling. And I'm getting ready for the inevitable. So, yes, you've just come into the part of the story where Mowgli has been spotted by Father Wolf. Stood at night. He looked up into Father Wolf's face and laughed. Hi, Akira Kitsune. Welcome. I'm reading Mowgli's Brothers on the live stream. Is that a man's cub? Said Mother Wolf. I have never seen one. Bring it here. A wolf accustomed to moving his own cubs can, if necessary, mouth an egg without breaking it, and though Father Wolf's jaws closed right on the child's back, not a tooth even scratched the skin as he laid it down among the cubs. And for those who don't know, to mouth an egg basically means to hold an egg in your mouth without breaking it. That's what it means. How little, how naked, and how bold, said Mother Wolf softly. The baby was pushing his way between the cubs to get close to the warm hide. Aye, he is taking his meal with the others. And so this is a man's cub. Now, was there ever a wolf that could boast of a man's cub among her children? I have heard now and again of such a thing, but never in our pack or in my time, said Father Wolf. He is altogether without hair, and I could kill him with a touch of my foot. But see, he looks up and is not afraid. The moonlight was blocked out of the mouth of the cave, for Shere Khan's great square head and shoulders were thrust into the entrance. Tabaki behind him was squeaking, my lord, it went in there. Shere Khan does us a great honor, said Father Wolf, but his eyes were very angry. What does Shere Khan need? My quarry. The man's cub came this way, said Shere Khan. Its parents have run off. Give it to me. Shere Khan had jumped at a woodcutter's campfire, as Father Wolf had said, and was furious from the pain of his burned feet. But Father Wolf knew that the mouth of the cave was too narrow for the tiger to come in. Even where he was, Shere Khan's shoulders and forepaws were cramped for want of room, as a man would be if he tried to fight in a barrel. The wolves are free people, said Father Wolf. They take orders from the head of the pack and not from any striped caterpillar. The man's cub is ours to kill if we choose. You choose and you do not choose. What is this talk of choosing? By the bull that I killed, am I to stand nosing into your dog's den for what is rightfully mine? It is I, Shere Khan, who speaks. That's what I told you. The inevitable. The tiger's roar filled the cave with thunder. Mother Wolf shook herself clear of the cubs and sprang forward, her eyes like 2 green moons in the darkness, facing the blazing eyes of Shere Khan. And it is I, Raksham, the demon, who answers. The man's cub is mine, Lungri. Mine to me. He shall not be killed. He shall live to run with the pack and to hunt with the pack. And in the end, look you, hunter of little naked cubs, frog eater, fish killer, he shall hunt you. Now go away, or by the Samper that I killed, for unlike you, we eat no starved cattle. Go back to your mother, burned beast of the jungle, lamer than when you came into the world. Go! Father Wolf looked on, amazed. He had almost forgotten the days when he won Mother Wolf in a fair fight from 5 other wolves. The days when she ran in the pack and was not called the demon for compliment's sake. Shere Khan might have faced Father Wolf, but he could not stand up to Mother Wolf, for he knew that where he was, she had all the advantage of the ground and would fight to the death. So he backed out of the cave mouth, growling, and when he was clear, he shouted, "Each dog barks in his own yard. We will see what the pack will have to say to this fostering of man's cub. The cub is mine, and to my teeth you will come in the end. Oh, bush-tailed thieves!" I didn't know that. You seem to know a lot about this Ruby show. I'm happy it makes you happy, Akira. That was the inevitable laughing reaper, I told you. Frickin' Shere Khan in this book does not have subtlety. Mother Wolf threw herself down, panting among the cubs. Father Wolf said to her gravely, "Shere Khan speaks some truth. The man cub must be shown to the pack. Will you still keep him, Mother?" "Keep him," she gasped. "He came naked by night, alone and very hungry. Yet he was not afraid. Look, he has pushed one of my babes to one side already, and that lame butcher would have killed him and would have run off to the Wangunga while the villagers here hunted through all our lairs in revenge. Keep him? Assuredly I will keep him. Lie still, little frog Mowgli. For Mowgli the frog I will call you. The time will come when you will hunt Shere Khan, as he has hunted you." "But what will our pack say?" said Father Wolf. Actually, the kind mother. Yeah, well, Raksha is kind, but she is also called the demon. Because she used to run the pack. You heard in the story. She was not taking any bullshit from Shere Khan. Maternal instincts were kicked in at full speed. That man cub is her baby, and she ain't gonna let any striped cattle killer kill her cub. All right. The law of the jungle lays down very clearly that any wolf may, when he marries, withdraw from the pack he belongs to. But as soon as his cubs are old enough to stand on their feet, he must bring them to the pack council, which is generally held once a month at full moon, in order that the other wolves may identify them. After that inspection, the cubs are free to run where they please, and until they have killed their first buck, no excuse is accepted if a grown wolf of the pack kills one of them. The punishment is death if the murderer can be found, and if you think for a minute, you will see that this must be so. Okay. Father Wolf waited until his cubs could run a little. Then on the night of the pack meeting, he took them and Mowgli and Mother Wolf to the Council Rock, a hilltop covered with stones and boulders where 100 wolves could hide. Akela, the great gray lone wolf who led all the pack by strength and cunning, lay out at full length on his rock, and below him sat 40 or more wolves of every size and color, from badger-colored veterans who could handle a buck alone, to young black 3-year-olds who thought they could. The lone wolf had led them for a year now. He had twice fallen into a wolf trap in his youth, and once had been beaten and left for dead, so he knew the manners and customs of men. There was very little talking at the rock. The cubs tumbled over each other in the center of the circle where their mothers and fathers sat, and now and again a senior wolf would go quietly up to a cub, look at him carefully, and return to his place on noiseless feet. Sometimes a mother would push her cub far out into the moonlight to be sure that he had not been overlooked. Akela from his rock would cry, "You know the law! You know the law! Look well, O wolves!" And the anxious mother would take up the call, "Look! Look well, O wolves!" I hope I would love Jungle Book ASMR. Well, maybe. Maybe. I do got one ASMR in the pipeline, but we'll see. Because I'm happy to do requests, but I also like doing my own projects when I'm able to. At last, and Mother Wolf's neck bristles lifted as the time came. Father Wolf pushed Mowgli the Frog, as they called him, into the center, where he sat laughing and playing with some pebbles that glistened in the moonlight. Akela never raised his head from his paws, but went on with the monotonous cry, "Look well!" A muffled roar came up from behind the rocks. The voice of Shere Khan cried, "The cub is mine! Give him to me! What have the free people to do with a man's cub?" Akela never even twitched his ears. All he said was, "Look well, O wolves! What have the free people to do with the orders of any save the free people? Look well!" And I just realized I haven't been showing you the illustrations. I apologize, but Shere Khan on the first page. And then we got Shere Khan and Mother Wolf and Father Wolf. Not me thinking Scar would vibe with ACA. I don't know what ACA is, but and then we see Father Wolf and little Mowgli. And some more Shere Khan. Food and sleep. Oh. Aka. Huh. I did not know that. And then this is where we are currently. Well, where we were before. But yeah, I forgot I said I was going to show you the illustrations, so I apologize for that. Well, I mean, Shere Khan is lame, so it makes sense that he'd be called the lame one. And because Shere Khan does a lot of shouting in this, because he has no concept of calm, then refill him a glass with water, just to be on the same, just to be safe. All right. There was a chorus of deep growls, and the young wolf in his fourth year flung back Shere Khan's question to Akela. "What have the free people to do with a man's cub?" Now the law of the jungle lays down that if there is any dispute as to the right of a cub to be accepted into the pack, he must be spoken for by at least 2 members of the pack who are not his father and mother. "Who speaks for this cub?" asked Akela. "Who speaks among the free people?" There was no answer, and Mother Wolf got ready for what she knew would be her last fight if things came to fighting. Well, Tiger, yeah, no kidding. Fiery roar. Then, the only other creature who is allowed at the pack council, Baloo, the sleepy brown bear who teaches the wolf cubs the law of the jungle. Old Baloo, who can come and go where he pleases because he eats only nuts and roots and honey, rose up on his hindquarters and grunted. "The man's cub? The man's cub?" said he. "I speak for the man's cub. There is no harm in a man's cub. I have no gift of words, but I speak the truth. Let him run with the pack and be entered with the others. I, myself, will teach him." "We need another to speak for the man's cub," said Akela. "Baloo has spoken, and he is our teacher for the young cubs. Who speaks beside Baloo?" A black shadow dropped down into the circle. It was Bagheera, the Black Panther, inky black all over, but with the panther marking showing up in a certain light, like the pattern of watered silk. Everybody knew Bagheera, and nobody cared to cross his path, for he was as cunning as Tabaki, as bold as the wild buffalo, and as reckless as the wounded elephant. But he had a voice as soft as wild honey dripping from a tree, and a skin softer than a down. "Oh, Akela, and you, the free people," he purred, "I have no say in your assembly, but the law of the jungle says that if there is a doubt in regard to a new cub, the life of that cub may be bought at a price, and the law does not say who may or may not pay that price. Am I right?" "Good, good," said the young wolves, who were always hungry. "Listen to Bagheera. The cub can be bought for at a price. It is the law." Knowing that I have no right to speak here, I ask your permission to do so." "Speak then!" cried 20 voices. "To kill a naked cub is shame. Besides, he may make better sport for you when he is grown. Baloo has spoken on his behalf. Now, to Baloo's word I will add one bull, and a fat one, newly killed, not half a mile from here, if you accept the man's cub according to the law." There was a clamor of scores of voices saying, "What does it matter? He will die in the winter rains. He will scorch in the sun. What harm can a naked frog do to us? Let him run with the pack. Where is the bull, Bagheera? Let him be accepted." And then came Akela's deep bay, crying, look well, O wolves." Mowgli was still deeply interested in the pebbles, and he did not notice when the wolves came and looked at him one by one. At last they all went down the hill for the dead bull, and only Akela, Bagheera, Baloo, and Mowgli's own wolves were left. Shere Khan still roared in the night, for he was very angry that Mowgli had not been handed over to him. "Go on, roar away," said Bagheera under his whiskers, "for the time will come when this naked thing will make you roar to another tune, or I know nothing of man." "It is well done," said Akela. "Men and their cubs are very wise. He may be a help in time." "Truly, a help in a time of need, for none can hope to lead the pack forever," said Bagheera. Akela said nothing. He was thinking of the time that comes to every leader of every pack when his strength goes from him and he gets weaker and weaker until at last he is killed by his own wolves and a new leader comes up to be killed in his turn. "Take him away," he said to Father Wolf, "and train him as befits one of the free people." And that is how Mowgli entered into the Seeonee wolf pack at the price of a bull and Baloo's good word. It has been a couple of categories. I said further passed on. We're trying to reread. I'm terribly sorry, Wolfer. I know how you feel. Hopefully it was peaceful, and I pray that you are able to heal. But I'm glad you're able to come and enjoy the story. Feel free to make comments and let me know what you guys think, by the way. I like reading them. Now we must skip 10 or 11 whole years and only guess at all the wonderful life that Mowgli led among the wolves, because if it were written out, it would fill ever so many books. He grew up with the cubs, though they, of course, were grown wolves almost before he was a child, and Father Wolf taught him his business and the meaning of the things in the jungle until every rustle in the grass, every breath of the warm night air, every note of the owls above his head, every scratch of a bat's claws as it roosted for a while in a tree, and every splash of every little fish jumping in a pool meant just as much to him as the work in an office means to a businessman. There have been 2 instances of abandoned children. Yes, I've heard about that, and I've even seen it online. And not just wolf packs. There have been children who've been raised by cats, by rabbits. It's fascinating, but it's also kind of sad. But it is certainly interesting. And then again, kind of sad. But yes, in the case of, and it hasn't only happened in real life, but also in mythology. The story of Atalanta. She was abandoned on a hilltop, and she was raised by bears. Imagine that, though, being raised by bears. That would be a trip. When he was not learning, he sat out in the sun and slept, and ate and slept again. When he felt dirty or hot, he swam in the forest pools, and when he wanted honey, Baloo told him that honey and nuts were just as pleasant to eat as raw meat. He climbed up for it, and Bagheera showed him how to do. Bagheera would lie out on a branch and call, "Come along, little brother." And at first Mowgli would cling like the sloth, but afterwards he would fling himself through the branches almost as boldly as the grey ape. He took his place at the council rock, too, whenever the pack met, and there he discovered that if he stared hard at any wolf, the wolf would be forced to drop his eyes, and so he used to stare at them for fun. At other times, he would pick the long thorns out of the pads of his friends, for wolves suffer terribly from thorns and burrs in their coats. He would go down to the hillside into the cultivated lands by night and look very curiously at the villagers in their huts. But he had a mistrust of men because Bagheera showed him a square box with a drop gate so cunningly hidden in the jungle that he nearly walked into it, and told him that it was a trap. He loved better than anything else to go with Bagheera into the dark, warm heart of the forest, to sleep all through the drowsy day, and at night to see how Bagheera did his killing. Bagheera killed right and left as he felt hungry, and so did Mowgli, except with one exception. As soon as he was old enough to understand things, Bagheera told him that he must never touch cattle, because he had been bought into the pack at the price of a bull's life. "All the jungle is yours," said Bagheera, "and you can kill everything that you are strong enough to kill. But for the sake of the bull that bought you, you must never kill or eat any cattle, young or old. That is the law of the jungle." Mowgli obeyed faithfully. She's a true alpha female. Yes, Raksha definitely was. She used to run the pack, and back then she wasn't just called the demon for compliment's sake. But she was very protective of Mowgli, like all mothers are of their children, even if the children are of a different species. Oh, maybe you were talking about Atalanta, but yeah. Anyway, sorry. And he grew and grew strong, as a boy who must grow does, not knowing that he is learning any lessons, and who has nothing in the world to think of except things to eat. Mother Wolf told him once or twice that Shere Khan was not to be trusted, and that some day he would have to kill Shere Khan. But though a young wolf would remember that advice every hour, Mowgli forgot it because he was only a boy. Though he had been asked, he would have called himself a wolf if he had been able to speak in any human tongue. Shere Khan was always crossing his path in the jungle, for as Akela grew older and weaker, the lame tiger had become great friends with the younger wolves of the pack, who followed him for scraps, something that Akela would never have allowed if he had dared to push his authority to the proper bounds. Shere Khan flattered the youngsters and wondered that such fine young hunters were to be content to be led by a dying wolf and a man's cub. "They tell me," Shere Khan would say, "that at council you dare not look him between the eyes," and the young wolves would growl and bristle. Bagheera, who had eyes and ears everywhere, knew something of this, and once or twice he told Mowgli in so many words that Shere Khan would kill him some day, and Mowgli would laugh and answer, "I have the pack, and I have you, and Baloo, even though he is so lazy, might strike a blow or two for my sake. Why should I be afraid?" Jungle Monster Girls. Yes, maybe. Jungle Monster Girls could be a thing in the future. We'll see. Okay. It was one very warm day that a new notion came to Bagheera, born of something that he had heard. Perhaps Iki, the porcupine, had told him, but he said to Mowgli when they were deep in the jungle, as the boy lay with his head on Bagheera's beautiful black skin, "Little brother, how often have I told you that Shere Khan is your enemy?" "As many times as there are nuts on that palm," said Mowgli, who naturally could not count. "What of it? I am sleepy, Bagheera. And Shere Khan has all long tail and loud talk, like Mao the peacock. But it is no time for sleeping. Baloo knows it. I know it. The pack know it. Even the foolish, foolish deer know. Tabaki has told you too." "Ho ho!" said Mowgli. "Tabaki came to me not long ago with some rude talk that I was a naked man's cub and was not fit to dig pig nuts. But I caught Tabaki by the tail and swung him twice against a palm tree to teach him better manners. It was a stupid thing to do, for although Tabaki is a mischief maker, he would not have told you something that concerns you. Open those eyes, little brother. Shere Khan would not dare kill you in the jungle, but remember, Akela is very old, and soon the day will come when he cannot kill his buck, and then he will be leader no more." Many of the wolves Oh, right, I forgot. But Baloo and Bagheera. I forgot to show this to you. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Akela is very old, and soon the day will come when he cannot kill his buck, and then he will be leader no more. Many of the wolves that looked you over when you were first brought to the council are old too, and the young wolves believe, as Shere Khan has taught them, that a man cub has no place in the pack. In a little while, he will be a man. And what is a man that he should not run with his brothers? Said Mowgli. I was born in the jungle. I have obeyed the law of the jungle, and there is no wolf of ours from whose paws I have not pulled a thorn. Surely they are my brothers. Here we see Mowgli with Bagheera. But there you go, Laughing Reaper, who said, Mowgli has brothers? Yes. And there they are, the wolves. Bagheera stretched himself at full length and half shut his eyes. Little brother, he said, feel under my jaw. Mowgli put up his strong brown hand, and just under Bagheera's silky chin, where the giant rolling muscles were all hidden by the glossy fur, he found a little bald spot. No one in the jungle knows that I, Bagheera, carry that mark, the mark of a collar. And yet, little brother, I was born among men. It was among men that my mother died, in the cages of the king's palace at Udipur. It was because of this that I paid the price for you at the council when you were a little naked cub. Yes, I too was born among men. I had never seen the jungle. They fed me behind the bars from an iron pan, till one night I felt that I was Bagheera, the panther, and no man's plaything. And I broke the silly lock with one blow of my paw and escaped. As I learned the ways of men, I became more terrible in the jungle than Shere Khan. Is that not so? Yes, said Mowgli. All the jungle fear Bagheera, all except Mowgli. Oh, you are a man's cub, said Bagheera very tenderly, and even as I return to my jungle, so you must go back to your real home, to the men who are your brothers, if you are not killed by their council. But why? Why should any wish to kill me? Said Mowgli. Look at me, said Bagheera, and Mowgli looked at him steadily between the eyes. The big panther turned his head away after half a minute. That is why, he said, shifting his paw on the leaves. Even I cannot look at you between the eyes, and I was born among men. And I love you, little brother. The others hate you because their eyes cannot meet yours, because you are wise, because you have pulled thorns from their feet, because you are a man. I did not realize, said Mowgli sullenly, and he frowned under his heavy black eyebrows. What is the law of the jungle? Strike first and then speak. By your very carelessness they know that you are a man. But be wise. It is in my heart that when Akela misses his next kill, and at each hunt it costs him more to pin the buck, the pack will turn against him, and against you. They will hold the jungle council at the rock, and then, I have it, said Bagheera, leaping up. Quickly, go down to the men's huts in the village and take some of the red flower which they grow there, so that when the time comes, you will have a stronger friend than even I, or Baloo, or those of the pack that love you. Get the red flower. Oh, I need another drink. More shouting is about to happen because Shere Khan. By the red flower, Bagheera meant fire. Only no creature in the jungle will call fire by its proper name. Every beast lives in deadly fear of it, and invents 100 ways of describing it. The red flower, said Mowgli. I have seen it growing outside their huts in the twilight. I will get some." "There speaks the man's cub," said Bagheera proudly. "Remember that it grows in the little pots. Get one swiftly, and keep it near you, ready for when you need it." "Right," said Mowgli. "I'll go. But are you sure? Oh, my Bagheera." He slipped his arms round the splendid neck and looked deep into the big eyes. "Are you sure that all this is Shere Khan's doing?" "By the broken lock that freed me, I am sure, little brother." "Then by the bull that bought me, I will pay Shere Khan for this," said Mowgli, and he bounded away. "That is a man. That is all a man," said Bagheera to himself, lying down again. "Oh, Shere Khan, there was never a blacker day of hunting than that frog hunt of yours 10 years ago." Well, at least Baloo could teach mankind the bare necessities. You are funny, Wolfer. I described earlier this story as thematic and dramatic, and I meant it. Trust me. He passed in his sleep due to alcoholism. Well, at least it was painless. That's usually the most painless way to go, is in your sleep. And that's also why you don't drink into excess. You only drink in moderation. Even I don't drink until I get drunk. Have I gotten buzzed? Yeah, because I was stupid and I drank my drink a little too fast, but it's another warning light. But I'm sorry he passed that way. But I'm glad it was peaceful and it was at least in his sleep. Because when you pass away in your sleep, there's no suffering. But I understand. Well, for my grandfather passed away last year, so I know the feeling. But let us get back to the story. I enjoy reading this story to you guys. So, Bagheera, the blacker day of hunting. Right, here we are. Mowgli ran through the forest. He came to the cave as the evening mist rose, and he paused to catch his breath and looked down the valley. The cubs were out, but Mother Wolf, at the back of the cave, knew by his breathing that something was troubling her frog. "What is it, son?" she said. "Some bats chatter of Shere Khan," he called back. "I will hunt among the plough fields tonight." And he plunged downward through the bushes to the stream at the bottom of the valley. There he stopped, for he heard the yell of the pack hunting, heard the bellow of the hunted Sampur, and the snort as the buck turned at bay. Then there were wicked, bitter howls from the younger wolves. "Akela! Akela! Let the lone wolf show his strength! Make room for the leader of the pack! Spring, Akela!" The lone wolf must have sprung and missed his hold, for Mowgli heard the snap of his teeth, then the yelp as the Sampur knocked him over with his forefoot. He did not wait to hear any more, but ran on, and the yells grew fainter behind him as he ran into the cropland where the villagers lived. Bagheera was right, he panted as he nestled down in some cattle fodder by the window of a hut. "Tomorrow is an important day for Akela and me." Then he pressed his face close to the window and watched the fire on the hearth. He saw the husbandman's wife get up. Mowgli with Bagheera, and Mowgli outside the cave with his mother. He saw the husbandman's wife get up and feed it in the night with black lumps. And when the morning came and the mists were all white and cold, he saw the man's child pick up a wicker pot plastered inside with earth, fill it with lumps of red-hot charcoal, and put it under his blanket, and go out to tend the cows in the byre. "Is that all?" said Mowgli. "If a cub can do it, there is nothing to fear." So he strode round the corner and met the boy, took the pot from his hand, and disappeared into the mist while the boy howled with fear. "They are very like me," said Mowgli, blowing into the pot as he had seen the woman do. "This thing will die if I do not give it things to eat." And he dropped twigs and dried bark on the red stuff. Halfway up the hill he met Bagheera with the morning dew shining like moonstones on his coat. Akela has missed, said the panther. They would have killed him last night, but they needed you too. They were looking for you on the hill. I was among the plowlands. I am ready. See? Mowgli held up the fire pot. Good. Now I have seen men put a dried branch into that stuff, and soon the red flower blossoms at the end of it. Are you not afraid? No. Why should I be scared? I remember now. If it isn't a dream, how before was I a wolf? I lay beside the red flower, and it was warm and pleasant. All that day Mowgli sat in the cave tending his fire pot and dipping dried branches into it to see how they looked. He found a branch that satisfied him, and in the evening when Tabaki came to the cave and told him rudely enough that he was wanted at the council rock, he laughed till Tabaki ran away. Then Mowgli went to the council, still laughing. We're getting close to the climax of the story, and for good measure, because Shere Khan is coming. Because if I tear my throat out, I can't make ASMR for a while. So he left. So he went to the council, still laughing. Akela, the lone wolf, lay by the side of his rock, as a sign that the leadership of the pack was open, and Shere Khan, with his following of scrap-fed wolves, walked to and fro. Bagheera lay close to Mowgli, and the fire pot was between Mowgli's knees. When they were all gathered together, Shere Khan began to speak, a thing he would never have dared to do when Akela was in his prime. He has no right, whispered Bagheera. Say so. He is a dog's son. He will be frightened. Mowgli sprang to his feet. Free people, he cried. Since when does Shere Khan lead the pack? What has a tiger to do with our leadership? As the leadership is open and being asked to speak. Oh, whoops. Sorry. As the leadership is open and being asked to speak, Shere Khan began. By whom? Said Mowgli. Are we all jackals who fawn on this cattle butcher? The leadership of the pack is with the pack alone. There were yells of silence, man cub. Let him speak, he has kept our law. Until at last the seniors of the pack thundered. Let the dead wolf speak! When a leader of the pack has missed his kill, he is called the dead jackal as long as he lives, which is generally not for long. Akela raised his old head wearily. Free people, and you too, jackals of Shere Khan. For many seasons I have led you to and from the kill, and in all my time not one has been trapped or maimed. Now I have missed my kill. You know how that plot was made. You know how you brought me up, an untried buck, to make my weakness known. It was cleverly done. Your right is to kill me here on the council rock. Now, therefore I asked, who comes to make an end of the lone wolf? For it is my right, by the law of the jungle, that you come, one by one. There was a long hush, for no single wolf cared to fight Akela to the death. Then Shere Khan roared, Bah! What have we to do with this toothless fool? He is doomed to die. It is the man cub who has lived too long. Free people, he was my meat from the first. Give him to me. I am weary of this man wolf folly. He has troubled the jungle for 10 seasons. Sorry. Give me the man cub, or I will hunt here always and not give you one bone. He is a man's child, and from the marrow of my bones I hate him! Then more than half the pack yelled, A man! A man! What has a man to do with us? Let him go to his own place! And turn all of the people of the villages against us? Clamored Shere Khan. No! Give him to me! He is a man, and none of us can look him between the eyes. Akela lifted his head and said, He has eaten our food. He has slept with us. He has driven game for us. He has broken no word of the law of the jungle. It's time for our jungle babe to become a man. Yep, little Mowgli. Also, I paid for him with a bull when he was accepted. The worth of a bull is little, but Bagheera's honor is something that he will perhaps fight for," said Bagheera in his gentlest voice. "That bull was paid 10 years ago," the pack snarled. "What do we care for 10-year-old bones?" "Or for a promise," said Bagheera, his white teeth bared under his lip. "The Free People is a good name for you." "No man's cub can run with the people of the jungle," howled Shere Khan. "Give him to me!" "He is our brother in all but blood," Akela went on, "and you want to kill him here. I believe I have lived too long. Some of you are eaters of cattle, and I have heard that others, under Shere Khan's teaching, go by dark night and snatch children from the villager's doorstep. Therefore I know you are cowards, and it is to cowards that I speak now. I know that I must die, and my life is worthless now, or I would offer it in the man's cub's place. But for the sake of the honor of the pack, a little matter that by being without a leader you have all seemed forgotten, I promise that if you let the man cub go to his own place, I will not, when my time comes to die, bear one tooth against you. I will die without fighting. That will save the pack 3 lives. I cannot do more than this. But if you want, I can save you the shame of killing a brother against whom there is no fault. A brother spoken for and bought into the pack according to the law of the jungle. He is a man! A man! A man! Snarled the pack, and most of the wolves began to gather round Shere Khan, whose tail was beginning to switch. "It is up to you now, Mowgli," said Bagheera to the boy. "We can do no more except fight." I believe I forgot to show you the pictures, but Tabaki and Mowgli, and of course Shere Khan. Which, fun fact, in the Chuck Jones adaptation of the film, they describe Shere Khan as a white tiger. Don't know why they changed that, but it was interesting. "We can do no more except fight." Mowgli stood up, the fire pot in his hands. Then he stretched out his arms and yawned in the face of the council. But he was furious with rage and sorrow, for wolf-like the wolves had never told him how they hated him. "Listen, you!" he cried. "There is no need for this dog's jabber. You have told me so often tonight that I am a man, even though I would have been a wolf with you to my life's end. But I feel your words are true, so I do not call you my brothers any more, but sag, dogs, as a man would. What you will do, what you will not do, it is not up to you, it is up to me. And so that we will see the matter more clearly, I, the man, have brought with me a little pot of the red flower which you dogs fear." He flung the fire pot to the ground, and some of the red coals lit a tuft of dried moss that flared up, as all the council drew back in terror before the leaping flames. Mowgli thrust his dead branch into the fire until the twigs lit and crackled. Then he whirled it above his head among the cowering wolves. "You are now the master," said Bagheera softly. "Save Akela from death, for he was always your friend." Akela, the grim old wolf who had never asked for mercy in his life, gave one piteous look at Mowgli as the boy stood all naked, his long black hair tossing over his shoulders in the light of the blazing branch that made the shadows jump and quiver. "Good," said Mowgli, staring round slowly. "I see that you are dogs. I go from you to my own people, if they are my own people. The jungle is close to me, and I must forget your talk and your companionship. But I will be more merciful than you are. Because I was all but your brother in blood, I promise that when I am a man among men, I will not betray you to men as you have betrayed me." He kicked the sparks with his foot, and the sparks flew up. "There shall be no war between any of us and the pack, but there is a debt to pay before I go." He strode forward to where Shere Khan sat, blinking stupidly at the flames, and caught him by the tuft of his chin. Bagheera followed in case of accidents. "Up, dog!" Mowgli cried. "Up when a man speaks!" or I will set that coat ablaze." Shere Khan's ears lay flat back on his head, and he shut his eyes, for the blazing branch was very near. "This cattle killer said he would kill me in the council because he could not kill me when I was a cub. Here's how we beat dogs where we are men. Move a whisker, Longri, and I will ram the red flower down your throat." He beat Shere Khan over the head with the branch, and the tiger whimpered and whined in an agony of fear. "Pah! Sinish jungle cat! Go now! But remember, the next time I come to the council rock as a man should come, it will be with Shere Khan's hide on my head. For the rest, Akela goes free to live where he pleases, and you will not kill him, because that is not my will. Nor do I think that you will sit here any longer, lolling out your tongues as though you were somebodies, instead of dogs whom I drive out. So go!" The fire was burning furiously at the end of the branch, and Mowgli struck right and left round the circle, and the wolves ran howling, with the sparks burning their fur. At last there were only Akela, Bagheera, and perhaps 10 of the wolves that had taken Mowgli's part. Then something began to hurt Mowgli inside him, and he had never been hurt in his life before. And he caught his breath and sobbed, and the tears ran down his face. "What is it? What is it?" he said. "I don't want to leave the jungle, and I do not know what this is. Am I dying, Bagheera?" "No, little brother, those are only tears, such as men use," said Bagheera. "Now I know you are a man, and a man's come no longer. The jungle is indeed close to you from now on. Let them fall, Mowgli. They are only tears." Here we see the climax with Mowgli among the wolves, and Mowgli with the red flower, and Shere Khan cowering. So Mowgli sat and cried as though his heart would break, and he had never cried in all his life before. "Now," he said, "I will go to men, but first I must say farewell to my mother." And he went to the cave where she lived with Father Wolf, and he cried on her coat while the 4 cubs howled miserably. "You will not forget me," said Mowgli. "Never while we can follow a trail," said the cubs. "Come to the foot of the hill when you are a man, and we will talk to you, and we will come to the uproads to play with you at night." "Come soon," said Father Wolf. "Oh, wise little frog, come again soon, for we are old, your mother and I." "Come soon," said Mother Wolf, "little naked son of mine. For listen, child of man, I loved you more than ever I loved my cubs." "I will surely come," said Mowgli. "And when I will come, it will be to lay out Shere Khan's hide upon the council rock. Do not forget me. Tell them in the jungle never to forget me." The dawn was beginning to break when Mowgli went down the hillside alone to meet those mysterious things that are called men. As the dawn was breaking, the songbird belled once, twice, and again. A doe leaped up, and a doe leaped up from the pond in the wood where the wild deer sup. This I, scouting alone, beheld once, twice, and again. As the dawn was breaking, the songbird belled once, twice, and again. And a wolf stole back, to carry the word to the waiting pack. And we sought, and we found, and we bayed on his track, once, twice, and again. As the dawn was breaking, the wolf pack yelled, once, twice, and again. Feet in the jungle that leave no mark, eyes that can see in the dark, tongue give tongue to it, hark, oh hark, once, twice, and again. And that is the end of the first part of Mowgli's story, of his trilogy. Oh, whoops. I'm terribly sorry. I almost forgot. Jeez, I forgot a lot this time around to show you the illustrations. I'm terribly sorry. But here we have Mowgli leaving the wolf pack to visit the men. But that was the end of the first story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I certainly enjoyed it despite the the dramatic reenactment, and I kind of screwed up in a few places. Sorry. Had to whistle my whistle. Oh, the power of man's bright flower. Yes, Wolfer, the red flower, also known as fire. But thank you. I'm glad you guys enjoyed this story. And I enjoyed reading it despite the fact that it scratched at my throat. But I don't think there was too much damage. So I should be able to continue making ASMR. And as I said before, episodes 10 and 11 of the Storyteller's Corner will be devoted to the remaining 2 chapters of Mowgli's life, which make up the entire trilogy, being Cause Hunting and Tiger Tiger. Excuse me. Pardon. But again, thank you so much for coming, and I'm glad you guys enjoyed the story. Now, for the fairy tales, I've always found their morals, and I've always given my own 2 cents on the story. I don't believe that I can do that here with the story of Mowgli's brothers. Because for me, at least, I cannot see a moral. However, if you guys think you know what the moral may be of the story of Mowgli's brother, let me know in the comments below. I'm always curious to see what you guys think. And yeah. If you have any questions or you just want to talk, I guess we can hang out for a little bit before this song ends. But yeah, thank you so much for coming. This went on a little longer than most of the readings, but then again, it was a short story, so it was a bit longer than the usual fairy tales that I read, which after I finish the trilogy of Mowgli, I definitely plan on reading some more myths and legends and folklores and other sort of epics like the Jungle Book. I do have a copy of Just So Stories, which is also by Rudyard Kipling. The Just So Stories basically explain why certain things are, like how the leopard got its spots, how the elephant got its trunk, and stuff like that. I have a copy of that in my room, and so I might read some of those down the line as well. But yeah, thank you for coming, Wolfer. I'm glad to see you, and I hope you're doing well. And I'm sorry for that passing, but I'm glad it was painless. And if you need to talk, Wolfer, like privately, of course, I'm willing to listen, and if you need someone to talk to. But yeah, thank you so much for all the subscribers. It means the world to me. We're currently at 655 subs, if you can believe that or not. When I reach 700 subs, I guess I'll have to do something special for when we reach 700 subs, but that's a long way from now. And if my boyfriend were here, he'd say I need 1,000. I don't need 1,000. I'm quite happy with the sub count I've gotten. I'm happy that you guys enjoy the ASMR and the stories that I make. So yeah. I need to get something to eat. Sorry. I just wanted to make sure I was able to read the story to you. But yeah, if you guys are interested in seeing the Chuck Jones adaptation, the link to the cartoon is down below. I also got links to the White Seal and Rikki Tikki Tavi, which I will paste those in their live streams, because I do plan on reading Rikki Tikki Tavi and the White Seal. Out of the Jungle Book, my 3 personal favorite stories are Mowgli's brothers, Rikki Tikki Tavi, and the White Seal. They're kind of my favorite. But yeah, that's just about it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm glad you enjoyed the story. And more ASMR is on the way, but I hope you all have a wonderful morning, afternoon, evening, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!